The Republican Party is facing a quiet but dangerous internal collapse. And it's happening from the inside. Donald Trump is no longer just battling Democrats or the media. This time, his target appears to be his own vice president, JD Vance. As tensions rise over foreign policy, military intervention, and America's role on the global stage, cracks are forming at the highest levels of Republican power. This isn't a policy disagreement. This is a slow-motion political divorce that could reshape American politics for a generation. JD Vance built his entire political identity on restraint, diplomacy, and no new wars. He campaigned on keeping America out of foreign conflicts. He promised voters that the era of endless wars was over. But Trump's increasingly aggressive posture threatens to shatter that promise, and with it, Vance's political future. Behind closed doors, leaks are emerging, alliances are shifting, and Republicans are quietly preparing for life after Trump. Let's break down what's really happening. The fracture began over foreign policy. Vance has been vocal about his opposition to military intervention. He's argued that America should focus on domestic priorities rather than policing the world. He's advocated for diplomatic solutions over military strikes. This wasn't just campaign rhetoric, it was the foundation of his appeal to a war-weary Republican base. But Trump sees things differently. His approach to foreign threats has always been more aggressive, more unpredictable. When tensions with adversaries escalate, Trump's instinct is to respond with force, to demonstrate American power, to make a statement that cannot be ignored. This fundamental difference in worldview was always there. But as long as they were on the campaign trail, as long as they were united against a common opponent, the contradiction didn't matter. Now that they're in power, the contradiction has become a crisis. The first signs of trouble emerged in private meetings. According to sources close to the administration, Vance has repeatedly pushed back against military options during national security discussions. He's argued for restraint. He's warned about the consequences of escalation. He's reminded Trump of the promises they made to voters about ending America's foreign wars. Trump, according to these same sources, has grown increasingly frustrated with what he sees as Vance's weakness. In conversations with advisors, Trump has reportedly questioned whether Vance has what it takes to lead, whether he understands the realities of power, whether he's too concerned with principle and not concerned enough with strength. The tension spilled into public view when unnamed administration officials began leaking to the press. Stories appeared in major outlets suggesting that Vance was being sidelined on key decisions, that his influence was waning, that Trump was consulting other advisors instead of his own vice president. These weren't accidental leaks. In Washington, leaks like these are weapons. They're designed to weaken, to isolate, to send a message. And the message being sent to JD Vance was unmistakable. You're losing relevance. But Vance isn't backing down. Sources say he's pushed back privately, arguing that abandoning the principles they campaigned on would be political suicide, that the Republican base doesn't want another war, that voters chose them specifically because they promised something different. This puts Trump in an impossible position. If he sides with Vance, he looks constrained by his vice president. If he overrules Vance, he risks fracturing his own coalition. The voters who supported Trump because of Vance's influence, the young conservatives, the anti-war Republicans, the populist right, they're watching. And they're not happy with what they're seeing. Meanwhile, other forces are at work. Republican donors, many of whom never fully embraced Trump's populist rhetoric, see an opportunity. If Trump and Vance split, if the administration fractures, it creates space for more traditional Republican voices to reassert influence. Wall Street, which has always been uncomfortable with economic nationalism and trade wars, is watching closely. Defense contractors, who profit from military intervention, are watching closely. Establishment Republicans, who never wanted Trump in the first place, are watching closely. They're all asking the same question. What comes after Trump? Some Republicans are already positioning themselves for 2028. They're building relationships with donors. They're hiring campaign staff. They're testing messages. They see the writing on the wall. Trump won't run forever. And when he's gone, there will be a power vacuum. The question is whether that vacuum opens up sooner than expected. If Trump pushes Vance aside too aggressively, if the split becomes irreparable, it could trigger a Republican civil war before the next election cycle. Vance has his own base now, his own supporters, his own vision for the party. Those supporters won't simply follow Trump if Vance is cast out. This is the danger of loyalty politics. When loyalty becomes the highest value, when questioning the leader becomes betrayal, the system becomes brittle. It works as long as everyone agrees. But the moment someone disagrees on substance, on strategy, on principle, the entire structure is at risk. And that's exactly what's happening now. Trump built his political movement on loyalty. He demanded it from everyone around him. Those who stayed loyal were rewarded. Those who wavered were destroyed. It was simple. It was effective. But it created a system where honest disagreement became impossible. JD Vance is now testing whether that system can handle dissent from within, whether you can be loyal to Trump while also being loyal to the principles you campaigned on, whether there's room in Trump's Republican Party for anything other than total agreement. The early signs suggest there isn't. Republicans in Congress are starting to hedge their bets. They're watching the Trump-Vance dynamic carefully. Some are quietly expressing support for Vance's more restrained approach. Others are signaling their willingness to support whatever Trump decides. Most are staying silent, waiting to see which way the power shifts before committing. This is how political realignments begin. Not with dramatic announcements or public confrontations, but with quiet positioning, careful statements, strategic silence. Politicians sense that the ground is shifting, and they're preparing for multiple possible futures. One scenario: Trump reasserts control, Vance falls in line, and the administration continues with Trump firmly in charge. In this version, Vance's political future is finished. He becomes a footnote, a vice president who couldn't handle the pressure, who got outmaneuvered by a more experienced operator. Another scenario: Vance holds his ground, builds his own power base, and becomes a center of resistance within the Republican Party. In this version, Trump's final years are spent fighting his own administration, and the 2028 Republican primary becomes a battle between Trump's chosen successor and Vance's wing of the party. A third scenario: the split becomes so severe that it affects the 2026 midterms. Republican voters, confused and demoralized by infighting at the top, stay home. Democrats win key races. Trump blames Vance. Vance blames Trump. The party fractures completely. Any of these scenarios is possible. And that's the problem. For decades, the Republican Party operated with a clear hierarchy and shared assumptions. There were disagreements, but they happened within understood boundaries. Everyone knew the rules. Everyone played the game the same way. Trump changed that. He broke the old rules and created new ones. And now those new rules, based on personal loyalty rather than institutional norms, are being tested in ways Trump never anticipated. Because JD Vance isn't a traditional Republican. He's not part of the establishment that Trump defeated. He's a product of Trump's movement. He rose to power by embracing Trump's populism, Trump's nationalism, Trump's critique of the old order. But he also came with his own ideas, his own principles, his own vision for what the Republican Party should be. And now those ideas are colliding with Trump's instincts, Trump's ego, Trump's need for total control. This is the contradiction at the heart of Trump's political project. He wanted to create a movement that would outlast him. But he also insisted on personal loyalty above all else. Those two goals are fundamentally incompatible. You can't build a lasting movement if everyone has to agree with you on everything. The question is whether Trump realizes this. Whether he understands that destroying JD Vance might also destroy the coalition that brought them to power. Whether he cares. Right now, the Republican Party is holding its breath. Watching. Waiting. Trying to figure out where this is going. What happens when loyalty becomes a liability? And how long can a party survive when fear replaces trust? The answers to those questions will determine not just the fate of Trump and Vance, but the future of American conservatism itself. Subscribe to Policy Lens for in-depth analysis of the power dynamics shaping American politics.